This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Shalom Aleichem. So we're closing in on the grand finale of Sefer Devorah. We're just having our executive review. We're up to Perek Dalet. Perek Aleph, we reviewed the 13 attributes of Hashem's Midos Ha'elyonos that emanate from the Navi Micha. Perek Beis, we spoke about Midas HaKeser. Midas HaKeser is apparent in the positioning and in the way we frame our Evarim of the Rosh, whether it's the head, whether it's the forehead, whether it's the thoughts, the mouth, the nose, the eyes, the entire face. The Talmud Devorah said all 8 aspects of one's face should be reflective of Midas HaKeser. And then Perek Gimel, we spoke about the 5 aspects of Chachma. Perek Daled, we spoke about Bina. Bina is the midah of tshuva, that one should incorporate tshuva into every day of their life. Today we begin with Perek Hey. Perek Hey is somewhat of a challenging chapter, and that is, the Talmud Devorah reveals to us that the main entrance point of Chesed is to love HaKadosh Baruch Hu, with the epitome of love and the pinnacle of love. Not to forsake his avodas Hashem for any reason at all. That should be first and foremost on one's agenda. In other words, in life in general. First, you need to allocate your money for avodas Hashem, for Torah, for avodah, for good causes. And then if you have enough left over to eat, you'll have what to eat. But first one has to allocate their money for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. One's energy, one has limited energy. So one has to allocate their physical energy for limud Torah, for tefillah. If they have energy after that for whatever they want to use it for, that is always secondary. Now, the love of HaKadosh Baruch Hu should be so firmly implanted in one's heart to the extent that no matter what the Rebbeinu Shalom, so to speak, dishes out to a person, even if it seems very difficult, even if it seems challenging, nevertheless, one should consider a difficult circumstance as an expression of the love of Hashem. So let's say, for an instance, one person has a setback. They shouldn't think that, oh, Hashem is angry or upset. One should think that Hashem is expressing His love, similar to what it says in Mishlei, Ne'emanim pitzei oyev. Trustworthy are the wounds inflicted by a friend. In other words, the Gemara in Masechta Taina says, better to have a wound from a friend than a kiss from an enemy. Na'atarois nashikois oyev. When the enemy kisses you, it's burdensome because you know there's something sinister in it. That's what we say in Kriya Shema. V'yahavta b'chol ma'odecha. Love God with all your ma'odecha. Even every midah that God dishes out to you, every attribute that Hashem dishes out to you, one should incorporate it in Midas HaChesed. One should attribute it to Chesed. So even though it seems like Midas Hadin, one should say, no, this is an expression of Hashem's love, and what you're doing is you're being Mekasher Midas Hadin to Midas HaChesed. Says the Talmud Devorah, this was the Midah of Nachum Ish Gamzu. What did Nachum Ish Gamzu do? He would say, Gamzu, even this which seems like Midas Hadin. Reb Nassim, we were there, right? By Nachum Ish Gamzu. So his madrega was, he would say, even by Midas Hadin, even something difficult, he would turn it back into Chesed al Tzad HaTov. Okay, now, here's the difficult part, and that is the Talmud Devorah says that what is a Chassid? You say, what do you mean, what is a Chassid? Depending on how long your side curls are, and depending how long your coat is, and what kind of alcohol you may drink, then you're a chassid, no? Isn't that... So the Talmud Devorah says, contrary to public opinion, a chassid has nothing to do with your side curls or your coat or how you make kiddush. A chassid is someone who does chesed to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Now, how does one do chesed to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? So we learned a very important principle, and that is, by doing chesed down here in this world, you effectuate chesed in the spherois lamala, and therefore, when a person has the opportunity to do chesed, one should be mechavein that he's trying to do chesed in the spherois up above. And by doing so, you're actually doing chesed to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So, we're going to try to review today 4 types of chesed that we may have the opportunity to perform, and what one should be mechavein when they do these acts of chesed. Number 1, when a baby is born. Everybody knows when a baby is born, the baby is very vulnerable and very dependent, and the doctors, the nurses, they have to give the baby food, they have to suction out its lungs, they have to give the baby drops. A baby is in great need of chesed. So too, there is Leida in Shamayim. Now, what is the Leida in Shamayim? When Midah of Bina gives birth to Tiferes. Now, Tiferes is Mishpat. Now, Mishpat can, or very likely can come out Litzad Adin, and it could be a difficult labor, and it could come out Litzad Hasmoil, and therefore one has to make every effort to ensure that when Bina produces Tiferes comes out Litzad Hayamin, which is to the right side, and the Vlad comes out without any mum, like we say in Rosh Hashanah, V'soitzi ka'ar mishpatenu. We want Mishpat, which is Tiferes, to come out Litzad Hatoiv. Okay, thereby, says the Devorah, one should be mechavein in all of their actions to attach their actions l'tzad chesed. This way, Bina will produce Tiferes l'tzad hayamin. Says the Devorah, kimat, almost every single avera in the Torah, its objective is to try to be ma'oyer somebody, not to be magber the midas hadin. So therefore, when one does chesed to a baby, if they give you the job of babysitting, let's say your wife says, okay, I'm going out tonight, and here the baby is yours. So you think, this is, I'm trapped. This is going to be a disaster. So what you could do is, don't tell your wife. You could hire a babysitter for, let's say you have to watch a baby for 3 hours, you hire the babysitter for 2 hours and 50 minutes, and you make sure you get home on time. However, if you're afraid you're going to be caught, because your wife put cameras in the house, so then the next best option is to follow what the Devorah says, and that is that one should be mechavein to do chesed HaKadosh Baruch Hu, namely that when Bina produces Tiferes comes out Litzad Hayamin. Number 2, the second way to do chesed is Mila. Now, of course, there's circumcising a child, and there is another analogous, allegorical way to do circumcision, and that is anything that is appendaged to Midas HaYesoid, any arla, any foreskin, one should try to remove it, and therefore one should pursue those who are far from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and their hearts are covered up with an arla. One should attempt to circumcise their heart, and this will influence the midah of Yesoid in Shamayim to be without an arla. And one should stand strong to try to be mesakin everything that needs the removal of an arla. That is why Pinchas, when he removed the arla of Klal Yisrael, by influencing them to steer away from arayos, so he was doing a great chesed HaKadosh Baruch Hu, removing the arla from Midas HaYesoid. So therefore, Midah Keneged Midah, he was rewarded with being a Kohen. As it says here, quoting the Zohar in Chilek Gimel Daf Kuf Mem Hey Amud Beis, the Kohen is Midas HaChesed. So therefore, since he did Chesed, we have any Kohanim on today? Maybe Mr. Nister is a Kohen, but I don't know who it is. So no, I know, I'm just joking. But Kohen is Midas HaChesed, and therefore, since Pinchas did chesed with Klal Yisrael, he was zoicha to kuna. Number 3, Bikur Cholim. When one does Bikur Cholim, visits the sick or cures them. Now, just a practical matter. It's a very interesting halacha. It says in Shulchan Aruch, if somebody visits a sick person and he's not mispalel for them, one does not fulfill the mitzvah of Bikur Cholim b'shleimus. Part of the mitzvah of visiting the sick is to pray for the sick person. Now, if you're in their presence, you do not have to say their name because the Shekhinah is there. But once you walk away from their presence, if you want to pray for them, you have to say their name. Now, what is the corresponding visiting the sick in heaven? The Shekhinah in heaven is lovesick. She misses her lover. Who is her lover? The Kutchabricha. She's Choylas Ahava Ani. And it is in our ability to cure the love sickness of the Shechina with good remedies. Like the Pasuk says, Samechuni ba'ashishos. Support me. Ba'ashishos is white fire, which is the fire of the man, Midas HaChesed, and red fire, the fire of the woman. The woman is Midas Hadin. Okay, now you want to support the Shechina. You want to give the Shechina wrappings of apples. You want to tie her to Netzach and Hoid. Bottom line is, if you don't know exactly what that means, the Shechina is lovesick. The Shechina wants yichud with Kudsha Brichu. Now, what's amazing is, now the reason why the Shechina is sick is because of the Tsar of Klal Yisrael. Why the Tsar of Klal Yisrael? Because Klal Yisrael is in a terrible situation today. Most Jews, they don't know who God is. They don't know Lashon HaKodesh. They're not able to learn Torah. And worst off, most Jews today don't even know who to vote for in Monday's elections. 80% of Jews are going to vote for the wrong candidate. That's how desperate a situation the Jewish people are in. So the Shechina is sick because of the state of Klal Yisrael. Now, not only is the Shechina sick, Kudsha Brichu is a chayla. Because Kudsha Brichu also misses the Shechina. And Kudsha Brichu travels out of its place, which is Bina, and goes and wanders to this world. So the Shechina is wandering, and Kudsha Brichu is wandering, and the Kudsha Brichu swears that it will not go back to its place until the Shechina comes with it. The bottom line is, the Shechina and Kudsha Brichu, they need Bikur Chaylim. So when we are Mevaker Chayla, Rav Moshe has a tshuva that if you can't be Mevaker someone personally, you could call them. And, nowadays, even better than calling them would be Zoom. And you could always upgrade your Zoom. In fact, our Zoom was upgraded today by a big tzaddik. But if you look, we're Rabbi Glatstein, and there's some simanim over here. We can't be megal exactly what they mean, but v'hamevin yavin, you might want to check out some of this information that we're updating. We even updated the Reb Meir picture. But these are soidos of Zoom that we can't be megala right now. But the bottom line is the third way to do chesed HaKadosh Baruch Hu is when you're mevaker, choyle, you should have in mind that you want to support and sustain the Shechina as well as Kudsha Brichu. And finally, number 4, and we'll finish up the last 4 on Monday, is tzedakah. When you give charity to the righteous, you are causing tzedakah upstairs in the spheres of Yesod and in Malchus. Now, the word tzedakah stands for 4 things. Number 1, Sadi stands for Tzadik Amenim. One should try to say 90 Amens a day. Now, how do you get 90 Amens a day? Well, if you're around for Chazar Sashatz, you already have 38, and then Birchas HaShachar, you have another 15. But we mentioned from the Ben Ish Chai that he used to say, Baruch Adonai Le'olam, Amen v'Amen. He would say that pasuk 45 times a day. So, just want to remind you of that. Then, 4, you want to get Kedusha 4 times. What are the 4 times? You have one in Yotzar Barei Choshech, you have one in Chazar Sashatz, and one in Uvalat Zion, and one in Mincha. Then you make 100 kuf is 100 blessings a day. Hey is you learn Chamisha Chumshei Torah, you learn Torah every day. By doing so, you are able to draw tzedakah from Tiferes to the Aniyim of Yesod and Malchus. And then the Talmud Devorah has a very profound understanding. The mitzvah of Leked is collecting influence from all the spheros. Shikha is from the supernal Oimer. Peah is Malchus, because the Midah of Malchus is sort of on the edge. Meiser Ani is you're elevating Malchus, you're binding Malchus to Tiferes. So the bottom line is, whenever a person gives tzedakah, or says 90 amenim, or 4 kadeshim, or 100 brachos, or learns chamisha chumshei Torah, one should have in mind that they're doing tzedakah upstairs, and by doing tzedakah upstairs, you are ma'orer tzedakah from the Rebbeinu Shalom to the entire world. Okay, Rabbi Isai, thank you for joining us today. Tomorrow morning, you please join us at 10:30. Actually, tomorrow we're going to have a little shiur on the Parsha, and then on Inyane Tefillah, and of course, you know the Sefer on Rav Meir. You know where to get it. Go to speaker page. Go to the I forget, where do you go? There's a link there. Go to Glatstein. You go to the link, and you order the Sefer, and you enjoy it. This way, when you go to sleep at night, you look at Devorah, you look at the Galilee, and you remember the Gemara in Rosh Hashanah says that Mashiach will reveal himself from Devorah, B'schus, Rav Meir, Rabbi Say, a great Shabbos. Kol Tov.
Rabbi, did you ever go to Deck's restaurant in Tveria?
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.